This is Trash Talk with your host, Garrett the Trash Man.
What is up, everybody? I'm Garrett the Trash Man. Tyler liked that.
Wow, was that your best Michael Jackson impersonation or what?
Well, that wasn't nearly as good, so I should have kept it with that one. But, dude, how you doing today, John?
Dude, I am splendoofus, as my brother would say.
Why don't you tell the people what you just accomplished?
Finally moved into our house.
But you didn't just move into a house. You took raw land that was good for nothing, not leveled, not nothing, and you created an incredible place to live on that raw land and moved your family into it.
Yeah, we're pretty pumped.
Yeah, it's a beautiful house you built there.
I'm kind of a big fan of it.
Yeah. How's it feel? I mean, you did a lot of that house with your own freaking hands. How's it feel? I mean, I know you only got one night under your belt, but how's that feel to be like, I built this house for my family to be in?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I like it. It's kind of like, yeah, this is my place.
That's mine. Feels very like your home, your family's place.
Yeah.
Your sanctuary.
You know what's weird?
Your Eden. What?
There's something wrong with my head. Well, not wrong, but I was literally sitting in the shower this morning, and yeah, we moved in and we're in it, but there's still tons of work to do. We still got to get all the landscaping done, some stuff done around on the outside, whole bunch of just tiny
projects aren't done.
Yeah, there's just I've still got a year and a half's worth of Saturdays left into this thing.
Yeah.
And in evenings and such. But you know what's crazy? So I was sitting in the shower. I'm like, well, that was cool. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Great. Let's get after it.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Do I really want to do that? And then I was like, yeah, I'll probably end up doing it a lot sooner than I think I will.
Yeah.
Well,
dude,
myself.
that just transitions perfectly into our podcast topic today that you know all about. Is we all want to hear how John's gone about buying and selling houses and moving and grooving and working his way up through his house. I don't know if it's up, but that's just a question a lot of young guys. Hey, I'm here. How do I get started? When do I buy? When do I rent? And I think John's story would serve people to hear how he went about buying, selling, renting, when you bought your first house, what you did with that, how did you land in the house that you're in now, and where do you see yourself going? Would you mind sharing that story with us, John?
Okay. Yeah, so we had moved back to Snowflake from the Mesa, Arizona area.
So in Mesa, you were renting?
Not really. Kind of. I've never actually rented a place, so.
Wow.
Tell
me more.
We were living in my mom's house.
Okay. I didn't know your mom had a place down there.
So
that makes sense.
my mom grew up in Mesa,
Mm-hmm.
just off the 60 there in Mesa. You know what a lot of people would refer to as Mexico.
Okay.
And but anyways, so we call it the Barkley House because it's on Barkley Street.
Nice.
And we were there, and so that's the house my mom grew up in. And throughout the years, it's been the single guy's house, and then when we all got married,
A lot of times start off there.
Yeah, a lot of times we'd start off there.
Get your feet under you.
Mm-hmm. And so we lived there, and basically my mom was like, pay the utilities, do the upkeep on the house, and pay the taxes, and that's your rent.
Mm-hmm.
So we did. We were there. We hated living in Mesa, wanted to get back up on the mountain, moved up here, and immediately started looking for houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say at that time, one of my brothers, I have many of them, so I'll just refer to him as one of the many, was like, dude, you guys should build a house. It's a great time to build a house. Super cheap to build a house.
Boy, was he right.
And
that foresight.
Oh, I know. And my young, inexperienced self let fear completely get in the way of it and said, oh, no. I told myself I didn't deserve a brand new house.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I told myself I didn't have enough experience to build a house. And so I told myself this story, oh, no, I can't build a house. I can't do that. No, yeah, I can't build a house. Which is so stupid. Man, I wished I would have built a house right then. So anyways, on with the story. So we started looking, and we actually bought, so we looked at a couple of houses, and a couple of them, I am so grateful my wife put her foot down and said, no, we're not buying this. This is an absolute dump.
Too far gone.
Yeah,
John.
too far, John. Too far. Because I did want to find something that we could come out ahead on the back end.
A flip house,
A flip
as they're
house.
referred to quite
Mhm.
often.
A flipper. And so we narrowed it down to a couple of houses, and one of them just happened to be old Jeremy and Shauna's house.
Great man, old Jeremy. If
Yep.
you haven't listened to the podcast with him, it's been a year or two, but go back and listen to it.
I love Jeremy. That dude's, yeah, they're awesome people. So, anywho, we started talking to them, and we said, hey, like, we see you guys want to sell your house, and they're like, yeah, we'd love to get rid of it, and so we came to terms and bought it from them and moved in. And Jeremy and Sean had already done some work to the inside, had already put in a front yard. And it was already a house. It was just a house that when they bought it, the people hadn't been super good at the upkeep on.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd done some upkeep to it. And at the time, it was mostly just Jeremy and Shauna's summer house.
Yeah.
And then Shauna had just recently moved up here full time and wanted something different. And so that's why they were selling the house. So we picked it up from them and moved in, and we loved that house. I still like that house. That's a good little house. And we were there actually a little bit longer than we thought we were going to be. We were there for 3 years, but we poured, about a 1,200 square foot back patio, added about 7,000 square feet of grass, put a new roof on it, and did some other projects to it, and sold that to, did you know we sold that to Christian?
No, I didn't.
Christian Caldwell?
Huh. Yeah. I
And
didn't know that.
now
Something
Epps?
else, but
I can't remember her married name, but anyways, a childhood friend of mine and Garrett's that we grew up with, and so we sold it to her and her husband, and they're still there, and they absolutely love it. And so we sold that, and in the meantime, we bought. This one was an absolute dump. I mean, it was 1,100 square feet, 100 years old, and it had been on the market for quite some time. And now we got it really, really cheap, and rightfully so, because that house had to be completely gutted. I mean, it was a 100-year-old home out of adobe. Well, parts of it were adobe. And we literally had to tear that house down to the studs, and even some parts of the foundation we had to fix, and then basically rebuild the whole interior of the house and do that. So we did that, and for 6 months, we lived with both of our parents going back and forth until it got livable, and we moved in. But then I got this harebrained idea, while we're working on that house, let's buy another. Because I saw another good deal, and there's those people that see smoking deals on cars and can't help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that problem. I'm like, it's a car. I don't want that.
yeah, you usually don't make money on
Yeah.
cars.
And plus, I'm not a mechanic-minded person. But if I see a good deal on a house, I can't hardly contain myself.
Mm-hmm.
So found another deal on a house there, and couldn't help it, so I bought that house too. And so we're in our little house, what I'll refer to as our little house, because it was teeny tiny, 1,100 square feet. And I was still working on that house at times, but then I bought this other house, and part of the stipulations in buying it was that I had to rent it to my brother for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
rent free. And that was kind of like the interest on the money from the money I was loaning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I let my brother live in that other house for 6 months, and then they wanted something bigger, and so they found a bigger rental. And then I went out and found, and at the time, I mean, I was broke,
Mm-hmm.
and had no money to fix up this house, and needed to figure something out to do with it. And I could have just found someone else to rent it and thrown people in there, but I didn't want to do that at the time. And so what we did is I went out and found someone else that had the money to do it, and partnered with them and said, okay, I've got the house. If you'll finance the remodel, we'll split the profits.
Mm-hmm.
So me and old brother Donovan, or Bryce, we did that. And so in the midst of starting that house, I was at a former client's home visiting with her and her family, and this client in my home care business, she really needed to go to a facility. Her health was declining rapidly. And for us to meet the needs that she had was going to be very expensive for her, and it would have been just cheaper to go to a facility. And I bluntly told him, hey, listen, she needs to be in a facility. Like, we need to find one quickly. We'll take care of her till then, but we need a choppity chop. And he says, well, we can't pay for a facility. I says, okay, well, why not? He says, well, she's old and doesn't have any more income. Okay, well, what are you going to do? And she says, well, we don't know. I says, well, you could always sell the house and put her in a facility. And he says, oh, that's a good idea. Well, how do we sell the house? And I says, well, I can help you out with that. So then I had to go find the money for that, which was kind of a little bit of an adventure. But we found that and closed in 7 days.
Wow.
And that was interesting. So here I am, broke as a joke, and I have 3 houses and no idea how I'm going to keep up with it all. But I'm like, I can't help myself.
Yeah.
So I'm living in my little house. I have the first flip house that I've partnered with someone on, and then I have this other house that I've bought that she's going to move out of soon, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it yet. Now, I have learned at this point what a good deal looks like, and knowing that, hey, listen, like, if I get it cheap enough, I can immediately put renters in it if I want to, and if not, then I can always just go find the money to remodel it and sell it and make my money there. And so, but I had gotten such a good deal on this house, and I was so busy and had so much on my plate at the time that I just thought, hey, listen, I got this so cheap, I could just put it right back on the market and sell it. So I tried to do that, and I put it on the market, and at the same time, we had finished up the flip house that I'd partnered on, and so we sold that one, and then not long after that, my brother that I rented the house to finally became interested in the house that I had just bought, so I sold that to him without doing a dang thing. I had about 5 hours of labor into that place and finding the money. And so then a few months after I sold the flip house, I sold that third house that I bought to him. And then probably about 4 or 5 months after that, we hit our 2-year mark in our little house, and that one was all done. And we sold that one as well.
So you cleaned house.
So so literally, I had 3 houses, and in November sold one, February sold one, and June sold one.
There you go.
And man, I wished I would have had 6 months for each, because I would have doubled my money on all of them.
Hey, who knows what will have happened? Maybe water lines will have broke, or
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. And so, and I'm not complaining. We're super blessed. It all worked out, and we didn't lose money on any of them. But yeah, so then we sold our little house, and by about the time we sold the house, the third house, to my brother, we also bought a lot. Actually, it was the same day. The day we closed on that house was the day we closed on our lot. And what we did was then we started building the house that we just moved into last night. But then there was a gap, so then we had to go live at my parents' casita for a little while. So now I'm only down to one house and not really sure what to do with myself. I've already got my eyes on a few properties. And
Well, you're sitting better than me. I'm tomorrow down to no house.
Oh, yeah.
So one house is better than no house.
Yeah. But it's all right. You got one lined up.
One lined up.
So,
One in the pipeline.
But I've got a couple of ones, and there's one I want to go look up at Pine Top that hasn't sold, and I know why, but I might be crazy enough to buy it.
You ain't scared.
Yeah, it's just, it intrigues me.
And I would say this about hearing your experience and my experience in real estate, which is much more limited than yours, but fear, you mentioned that at first, fear can be the biggest stopper. Like, you've got to be smart, you got to take everything into account, but do not let fear stop you and all the what ifs stop you. I know buying my house, there's so much I didn't know, and I built stories that things were so much bigger than they actually were. It was like, oh yeah, I'd always heard things said about if you have to replace a roof, like that the whole deal is shot and it's end of the day. It's like, yeah, like I won't buy something that replacing a roof kills the deal,
Yeah.
And just whatever it might be, I found none of it's as big of a deal as I had thought before doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as complicated, as crazy, as difficult as I thought as it might have been. And that being said, I will say it's a lot easier if you can line up the money so you can just get the thing handled rather than floating it along piece by piece. That's just my preference because I'm a kind of do it, get it done now type of guy.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot we did buy a property, just some land, and flipped that too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Johnny, the old flip master.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, I wouldn't say master because I'll call guys that, have flipped 200 homes masters. Those guys know what they're doing. They've got their science.
You've got a good track record so far, dude.
We've been super blessed because, believe me, you talk to enough guys that have done real estate long enough, and and I'm okay with base hits. If it's just a base hit, like people are going, oh, well, you only made that much money on. I'm like, hey, that's a base hit. And base hits win ball games, just as long as there's no strikeouts.
Well, it's very similar. Well, it's business. Anything's that way. Stock market, I've been having experience with that. You got to be okay and have the emotional maturity to recognize you may take losses. Sounds good that you haven't taken any losses.
And guess what? It's going to happen someday. It's inevitable.
And that's the deal with the stock market. I take losses, but I just stay with my system because I know it works. And I win more than I lose. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So, dude, that's awesome. How has it been for you?
To be honest, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome.
And
what do you love about it? Is it the excitement or the challenge? What is it that you love about it?
I love homes. I do. I love real estate. I love the idea of real estate. I love the excitement of looking for deals. I love the excitement of making deals.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually am looking how to create more of that in my life because, one, I think I can be really, really good at it with more time and experience and being in the process of creating myself that way. But two, listen, for example, I've been building a house and doing real estate stuff. And, for me to work 80, 90 hours a week on real estate is fun.
Yeah.
People might say, that sounds absolutely freaking nuts. But, I'm good.
You love it?
It's what gets me. There's things that, for example, if I was still building trusses like I had as a kid, rolling out of bed is the biggest. It's a chore every day. But man, if I get to go look for deals every day and be making deals and selling stuff like that,
all day long.
Huh? All day long. It doesn't matter what I got to do. Let's go do it. Let's make it happen because we're having a grand old time.
Awesome, dude. I'd love to hear that. One thing with real estate too that I've enjoyed in the one that I've done, I love taking something and making it look better, help the town, help the community. Because so often me and my wife will just drive around and we're like, we want to buy that just for the simple fact of it'd be nicer for everyone if that was a nicer house and make our community better and our neighborhood better and better for more families to move in because a family that isn't prepared to do real estate or flip couldn't buy that house because it needs too much work.
Yep.
Just like you did with that little house. I'd been eyesore for the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you were able to make it such a nice house. And that whole block now used to be crap houses.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's got 3 that were bad houses, looked really bad. Well, 4 actually, that are now really nice houses. It's a beautiful street now.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
definitely
think it's so
clean
cool to
up
be a
the
part of
neighborhood.
that.
And I do, and I have no idea if this is even legal or you can do it. Because one of the houses that we did sell, it turned out to be a really cute house. Bryce actually almost bought it and sold his house at the time and was going to live in that one that me and Bryce did.
Yeah.
Because it really turned out to be a cute little house. It turned out nice on the inside. We were like, dude, this is a cool little house. It wasn't huge. It was pretty small still, but great location, super cute. Just all around good deal. We had it sold before we were even done, so we didn't even have to put it on the market. But the most frustrating thing is when we sold it, within a month and a half, it looked like a dump again.
Yeah.
And so I very much so want to beautify the community. I that really aligns for me and really draws me to beautify the community. And so I definitely want to look to see if there's a way that like you can create like certain, I don't even know if it would be like CC&Rs, but some sort of agreement around the fact like, hey, listen, if you buy this flip house from me in the future, like you're required to keep it nice for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And if not, like there's some sort of stipulation to it. I don't even know if you can do that, but I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Just so that, hey, listen, like we've put a lot of time, a lot of money, took a lot of risk to make this a beautiful home. Like, let's keep it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pet peeve.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Well, dude, we're not even going to rant or anything today because I think that was great and I got crap to go do. So, dude, I appreciate you sharing that. That's freaking incredible. If you got questions for John on that, freaking hit him up.
Yeah.
So, all right, appreciate you guys. Peace.